Centrowitz here, ahead of. Is this your first Road 5K?
No, so actually, and the only reason I remember this is because when they brought out the entries, they had Road 5K PRs, and I remembered I ran one back when it was the USA 5K champs in Rhode Island, or I think it was in Rhode Island, right? It was up in Providence, yeah. So that was probably my debut. So it's been a while though. That was about 4 years ago, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So
have you done anything specifically to prepare for this, or is this just sort of a checkup? Or what are you
yeah, I think it's kind of a checkup. I knew like coming into Fifth Ave that I wanted to do this like weeks ago, months ago, and it just kind of allowed me to put something on the schedule, kind of keep me training pretty hard, kind of kept me accountable for workouts and staying on top of all the important things this fall that sometimes any athlete in the off season kind of tend to get away from. But yeah, also like they mentioned earlier, I'm going to be commentating on the marathon the day after, and then I have a few Nike appearances this weekend as well. So it just kind of worked out really well, where it was a good time to kind of come out and like you said, kind of check up where my fitness is at, but also be able to do a few other things this weekend as well.
So what happened for that? Because that didn't go too well.
Yeah, I had a setback about a week before I was going to leave for the Birmingham. Actually, the week of I was going to leave for the Birmingham Diamond League, and it was just a muscular thing, nothing crazy. But I knew like I don't adjust really well like going from the U.S. to Europe, and so I knew I had to be at 100% if I had any shot of going over there and performing well. And so we kind of just pulled the plug on Europe, and I just said to my coaches and agent that if I was 100% healthy going into Fifth Ave, that I wanted to do it. Just same reason this kind of allowed me to kind of keep training and instead of kind of giving myself more of a break going into the off season. So I was healthy coming into Fifth Ave. I'd done some workouts that indicated that I was still somewhat fit, but obviously not sharp compared to the other guys that were in the field. But it was a good experience. Doesn't hurt your world ranking, and it's always a fun meet and coming out and running Fifth Ave with the nation's best, world's best, and any New Yorker runners event, they always take care of me really well. So it was nice to come out for that.
Were you happy with your 2018 track season?
Yeah, I think especially the way it started, I was. It was kind of an up and down start where some good performances, but I was getting beat pretty handily in a few of them. But I felt like it was just a nice, I just kind of had this like snowball effect throughout the year where I just kind of started gaining momentum, starting with the U.S. championships. That was one of my main goals, going there and winning. And then from there, I just kind of kept lowering my season best and brought it down to 3:31, which in the grand scheme of things is the third fastest time I've ever run. So I definitely could not be disappointed with that. I definitely think I would have gone back over and had a really good second half of the season had I stayed healthy, but that's the name of the game, and that's kind of what I'm most happy with the last few weeks, last couple months. I've just been healthy since Fifth Ave and putting in really good work up in Seattle, and so no expectations on Saturday, but definitely get a good hard effort in and see where I'm at.
So how long are you in Seattle for? Why are you there? Why did you decide to take on, I guess, this volunteer assistant role with Washington?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle indefinitely. My best friend and roommate who I was living with in DC got the assistant coach job there, and then obviously I know the Powells since college, as they were my coaches at U of O. So I just looked at it as a tremendous opportunity for me to kind of have not only those guys in my corner, but have a really good training environment. I'm familiar with the Pacific Northwest. The climate out there is ideal for middle distance and distance running. If you can get through the rain during the winter, which I think is a blessing in disguise, allows you to kind of put a cap on some of the faster stuff just because you can't really turn over too fast in 40-degree damp weather. So, but they also have unbelievable facilities up there, with the indoor track that a lot of people all over the country go out to run fast times. And so having that at your disposal, I think, will kind of allow me to really get after this indoor season and get some good workouts in, whereas living in Portland or in DC, just you don't really have access to a track like that and be able to kind of use it as a big tool. So I just looked at it as a great opportunity for me to kind of come back to the Pacific Northwest and be closer to Nike's campus, but also have a great environment up there and people to train with too.
Does Andy have any role in coaching at all? Coaching you?
No, not really. I think he serves more as like as a guy that has a stopwatch in his hand. With if I'm alone, I'm out there and I need someone to kind of hold me accountable, or come out and kind of see how I'm looking, because every coach knows that giving someone a workout and not being able to see it is completely different than being able to have an eye on it and adjust it like mid-workout. Not every workout's going to go well, and I think Andy, just knowing me since I was 17 years old, knows when I'm looking good or I'm feeling terrible, and can adjust things accordingly. And that's kind of his role. I mean, he's primarily a college coach, and that's one of the reasons why I left him when I left Oregon, just because his focus is with collegiate athletes, and post-collegiately it'd just be asking too much of him to kind of individualize my workouts and travel with me to my races and be there for most of my training. So
this is the second year you've worked with him as a volunteer, right? Just last fall as well?
Yeah, I was just there for the fall. Yeah, technically I think I was always a volunteer coach, just on staff. I mean, people made it a much bigger deal than it is. I think there's a lot of people around the country that are volunteer assistants. I mean, being a volunteer, it's great because I can able to train with the team. If recruits come in town, but that's pretty much as my role, as anything. I'm not full time, not on paid staff. I just kind of there wherever they need me to be. If recruits are in town, to kind of come out, meet them, train with the team. Whereas it works in with my schedule, help them out as much as they help me out. So,
do you want to get into coaching when you retire, though?
I don't know. I certainly felt like I would have a few years ago, but as I've gotten older, I'm not sure. More opportunities have presented itself over the last few years, that other routes I could take. But to be honest with you, as I like to think in the midst of my career, it's kind of hard for me to really look past like what I'm doing right now in the present. And but certainly I enjoy working with and being around collegiate athletes. So it's definitely a possibility, but it'd have to be the right position and the right time. But I don't really know right now. Yeah.
So let's talk about the present. What do you want to do on Saturday? What's the goal?
Yeah. I think it's just kind of get in there and compete. My last few 5Ks have been pretty tough. At Stanford I was in the B section and found that race to be extremely difficult, whereas I thought going into it I would have been able to run, I think I ran high 1340s that race, and I thought I would be able to run a lot more comfortable. So I'm aware of how tough the distance is, and what I've liked about running 5Ks is it allows me to go back to the mile and the 1500 feeling like that event's sort of like a cakewalk, just 3 3/4 laps, 4 laps, and that's it. So I think this time of year it's great for me to kind of come out here and, like you said earlier, just kind of check up on where I am with my training, what I need to do differently. I'm sure I'm going to come away with this feeling I need to get a lot stronger. That's something I've been working on in the off season. I think I did a 10-miler this past spring in DC, and I just barely broke 51 minutes, which I think on a flat course too was pretty poor effort, and it was a hard effort, but it was a poor performance. And so that's kind of something that's been in the back of my mind since, and something I'm continuing to work on. And I think any athlete can get stronger. It's no one ever gets to a point where they're saying, okay, I'm strong enough. And so that's what this 5K is all about. Just kind of continuing getting me tougher and getting stronger, and working on my weaknesses.
Have you thought about next year? The World Championships are until end of September, early October. Does that change your schedule at all? Do you start later? Have you thought about that?
It certainly changes the schedule. I don't think it changes so much for indoors. I think I'm going to approach indoors like any other indoor season, and I like to get after it during the indoor season. It's a good opportunity again to test the fitness, and there's so much time in between the indoor season to USA's. So I think the only change I could see is maybe I usually go to the altitude in the spring, so maybe just kind of prolonging that trip an extra month or however longer the world champs are from the normal world champ timeline is. So I think it just kind of changes, just opening up your outdoor season and just kind of having a slower build up. So maybe I put a little more emphasis on the strength early on in the season. Maybe I do a couple more 5Ks. I don't know. I have to sit down and figure it out, take a look at the schedule, talk to my coaches, and we'll go from there. But as of right now, I think everyone's going to have to change, how they approach the outdoor season, because no one ever runs until October, and so yeah.